Welcome back, data leaders and Python learners, to Insight Builder channel. Automating API requests in Python using requests and JSON module. Challenge that we are going to solve is we want to get the data from internet through API endpoints that has been provided by various providers, whether it is Kaggle or whether it is TMDB or IMDB. Anybody right now have started providing the API endpoints, and Python has a very robust library called request that you can use to get this data or the payload from the actual source. We want to automate it, and we are going to do that using JSON module also. We will see how that JSON module helps. Before that, we will see how to get the request module. So as usual, you have to do a pip install. Just do a pip install requests and JSON module comes inbuilt. So you don't need to worry about that. In place of requests, you might also look into URL Lib 3. It is one of the alternate for requests library. In this example that we are going to look at is we are going to access 2 or 3 APIs. I have mentioned 2 here, libraries.io and hugo.vk API. We will right now delve directly into the Jupyter notebook where we will see this example. So without further ado, let me go to the terminal. As usual, in the terminal, I will be using the GitHub repo. So if you have not downloaded it or cloned it, do clone the GitHub repo, and I am going to start the server. And in the meantime, I will go into code and Jupyter notebooks here. And if you see that, now I would have updated a couple of new files here. I would have updated both API requests automation.ipynb and OpenPyXL glob automation.ipynb. So these are the 2 updated notebooks that I have shared. The server has come up and running. So let us, as usual, go to the server, press down the control key and click on the link that you see here. That will open up the Explorer. So if you see, the Explorer is coming up in my case in a moment, and there you go. So Explorer has come up and it is going to get populated. Yeah, it has got populated, and there you go. So I have all the necessary folders here, and if you go into Jupyter notebook, you have to click on API underscore requests underscore automation.ipynb. Just click on that and get ready to enter into the world of total automation. Okay, it's going to take a little bit of a time, and there you go. We are in. If you are new to Python and if you are not aware of how to get to Jupyter notebooks, or if the terminal command doesn't work for you, so when you actually gave this terminal command and it did not work, it actually told that there is no such a binary, or it gave some error. That means either you have not done pip install Jupyter, that is one of the applications that you need to do, or you have not installed Python itself. So you can check whether you have Python installed by using this, simply by typing Python on your command prompt and entering it. It should actually open a prompt like this by telling the name and the version of the interpreter, and then you can prove that Python is there. And after that, you have to do pip install Jupyter. If you do this, then you will be able to open the Jupyter notebooks that I am doing right now. So if you install this, you will be able to open the Jupyter notebook. Okay, what we are right now going to do is we are going to go back to the browser and we are going to start working on requests. First and foremost, if you have not installed requests, do install it by using pip install requests. It will install it. After that, we are going to rock really fast in this video. So because we have lots of things to cover, let us first import the requests and JSON directly. All you have to do is use these statements, and then we are going to work on, you are going to see how the internet gives the data to the browser. Okay, this is going to be interesting. So first and foremost, we are going to go to this website. This is the website that I actually got a lot of inspiration from. So just give me a moment. It is taking a little bit of a time, and I'm going to go there and press enter. The moment I do that, you will see a wonderful website which talks about the top 5,000 most downloaded packages in Python. What we are going to do is we are going to download those top 5,000 packages by using this URL. And you see the end of the URL, it is saying JSON. So this URL will give me the JSON file directly. Okay. And I can use requests library to get it, and to get the data, all you have to do is requests.get, and in the place of URL, you have to give the JSON URL, that this URL you have to provide. And then, okay, let us actually break it down. So what will happen is, let me actually break it down. Okay, so first and foremost, if you get an error like this, that means you have not executed this cell, so execute it, and then come back here again and execute it. So the JSON underscore request has been created. So let us see what is the type of JSON request. Okay, this is how it is easier to learn Python in this way, because you can actually understand the underlying objects more deeply. Okay, if you have not gone through my video on classes, Python classes, take a look at it. It is very important as we are moving into requests module, and then we will move into the next video using OpenPyXL, where you will automate Excel sheets, Microsoft Excel sheets. You will be automating it. It's pretty fun once you can manage the sheets that way, and it's pretty scary also, the power it gives you. But anyway, that's the next video. So, but do look at the videos. I will tag the video about my classes there. And next, what you are going to do, let us come back to this. Let us come back to this notebook, and here I am going to, in the JSON request object. So this is an object. So whenever I get a value like this, for type, if I get a value like this, request.models.response, this is an object basically. And in the object, there will be lots of methods attached to it. Okay. Among those methods, JSON is one of the method. Okay. Just click on JSON, and if you close it like this, you will see the type of this is dict. So that means there is data inside this. Okay. Now what we are going to do is we are going to take the data and assign it to received data. Okay. So this is how you assign it. Received mistake again. Received underscore data, and you say this, and it has been assigned to received underscore data variable. And if you want to look at the data looks like this. And there you go. We have got the data from the internet to our Jupyter notebook. That is a feat, right? And you did not go to the Internet Explorer or go and check, put the value, this URL there in the top of the address bar and get the data. Okay, if you want, you can still do that. So if you go here and if you click on this link, right, what will happen is it will go and get the JSON data, and you see it will actually render whenever you see that it is rendering here directly on the browser. Browser will only render JSON and HTML. It will not render any other data type. Okay, that is why browser's language is JavaScript. But we are working on Python. So Python uses other ways to get the data from such places. Okay. I am not going to go deeper into JavaScript or HTML. Let that be for another day. Coming back to our work in hand. So we have the data right now. So what are we going to do next? We are going to do something else. Okay. We got the data from this link, right? JSON URL, I use the JSON URL here, if you see. But what if you want to check what happens if I give this link? Okay, what if I give this link without this top PyPy packages? What will happen? You are curious. You want to see what will happen. So it's simple. I have already given that. I have already assigned it to a variable site underscore URL. Okay. All you need to do is use the same request.get and give the site URL there. However, in this case, you have to use content. So instead of using JSON in the earlier request, we used JSON here and we got the dict output. But in this case, you have to use content because the website actually provides HTML. You see, this is all HTML. This is purely HTML that is coming out directly from the internet. And Python is reading, Python request module is reading it. And if you are still not believing it, let me, yeah. As you scroll down, you will see the, wait a minute, let me show, just a minute. Yeah, here you can see this, a monthly dump of downloaded PyPy. So this is how the link gets created, and you see the content here, you see these values here. So all this is how you create HTML, right? So that, and yeah, you can see the way the meta properties are getting created. This is how the content is. But if you want to get the text data out of this requested value, you can actually come down. If you come down, I have actually taken the text again, site url.text. This will give the text data, and this text data you can again use it for your own purpose. So here you can see the link. So the link has been created here. This link that is created here is actually this link. This link, you see, this link is actually this value. So you can see how the HTML is created. So as I told you, either it is going to be JSON, like you saw here, JSON, or it's going to be HTML. Okay, now we have got this data. All good. So you have understood how internet works. Congratulations. But now, if in case you make a site.url which is actually able to give text and content, but if you ask it to give JSON, right, it will say JSON decode error. This is because this value, whatever the value that you're seeing here, the HTML doesn't even closely resemble the JSON signature. So there is a signature for JSON which has to match, then only it can become a JSON object. Okay, so this is what you have to understand right now. Don't worry about this in so much. If it is API endpoint, then you can use JSON. If it is not, then use text or content. Okay, so that is what I wanted to share. And now we are going to go to a one step higher. There is something called as pandas library that I will be introducing in the next series. But I just want to give a, just what pandas can do. Okay, so I have imported pandas with the alias called as PD. Okay, alias means it's kind of a nickname to the library. So in Python, we can give nicknames to library because library names can be very long. So we actually reduce it. So we say import pandas as PD. And then we, as usual, if you import something, this library will have a lot of modules in that. If I type the name of the library and do a dot and then press tab, just a minute. Yeah, my machine is a little bit slower. So if you press a tab, there will be a lot of options that you can get. And among them, the method is JSON normalize. So there is an option to normalize the JSON data, and we can actually create data frame from the JSON data. So we can create a data frame. So all this might sound totally out of this world or foreign language to you. However, data frame is simply a table of information. So in this case, download count on project. So we see the download count on the project. It has been made into a table and it has been printed neatly. I did not do anything. I just gave this command and then executed this particular variable. I did not even use the word print here. I simply executed this command. Let me show you how it works. Let me import pandas, and then let me create the pandas. Let me create the data frame, and then let me print it. Now this is what a data frame looks like, but you can do a lot with the data frame. So if, for an example, if I want to only to find the top 5 columns, 5 rows, then all I need to do is just use this called as indexing. This is called as indexing in data frame. I will go in detail about this in a couple of videos, after a couple of videos. So stay tuned for that. Now, we have seen something called as request.get here. So let me go up. You saw I use get, but in internet we can use something called as post also. So posting is where you actually send the data from your side to the internet. It is opposite to what I was talking about. Instead of getting the data, we can send the data to internet. For that, we need to have, we should either have a place where we can send the data, or we can have our own API. So in this case, what I have done is I have my own API. You can actually go to this link. Okay, this is the API that I created using Fast API, and you will also, I will show you how to do that in a very fast way, in fact, but I'll show you how to do that in the next couple of videos. But if you go to this, it will take a little 2 to 3 minutes to wake up, because this is hosted in a free service. So once it wakes up, you will see a document. So in the document, you can actually explore the API directly. So it is loading, and see, yeah, this is what I was talking about. This API is already there, and if you go and say, okay, show users, if I ask, you have to just click try it out and click execute, and it will show the various users here. Now what we are going to do is, we are going to take this link and we are going to do a get again first. So this is the link that I have taken, show users, the same link, and I'm going to do a get again. Request.get, okay, made a mistake, request.get. And you see the request users, the same value, your user at the example, refactored, new dawn. Go back here, you see the same value here. This is how you get the, you can explore it here also. This is one of the ways to explore it. The other way is you can actually check it in your own Python application. But the entire reason why I introduced you this API is not that I have created it, because I can actually send a post request to it. Okay, and you can also play with this API without any issue. So this actually becomes a kind of a training ground. We use get here and we got all the users, but now we can actually go back, and if you see, there is something called as create users, and you see here it is saying post. So we can actually create users here, and it is saying how the example value should look like. So here the email ID is so and so, and passphrase is just a string. Okay, and it is saying whether you want to try it out. So you can try it out here. If you want, you just click on this and you give some random name. So I say random at some readycon.com, and I say helhetlem. Okay, some name, some passphrase I give, and I give execute. And once you execute it, this is all how you do it. Once you execute it, the response says that, okay, where is the response? The response body says that, okay, user ID is 5 and the email ID is random at radicon. It has been created. To check whether the user has been created, come back here. Okay, let us do this. So I have created a new user, right? Go back to my application and let us do a request again, request.get again. And you will see there is a new user random.radicon.com. And when you actually start practicing, you will see more users getting added. This is one of the ways where you can actually understand how to use APIs. Okay. Now coming to the post, this is very important. What we are going to do is, we are going to create the email ID and passphrase. The same thing that we gave there manually. We went to this application, we put this URL here, then we went into this GUI manually, and then we gave the value here. But what we are going to do now is, we are not going to do any of those things. We are going to go back to our application, and in our application we are going to say my Python is the new username I'm going to give, and my Python universe.com, and let's make better is the passphrase. Okay, and I execute this, and now instead of using get, I'm going to use post. So request.post, URL is URL underscore post this URL. You see user, create user, this is the URL endpoint, and then this is something that we are going to add. So we are going to add a JSON payload, and the JSON payload is this value. Okay, and once you give this value, okay, just enter, you will see that post, you will see the reply actually. Post payload.json will give me a reply. So it is saying user ID is 6 is my underscore Python, and you want to check whether the user has been really created, just execute this again. So you'll see that new user has got created. So new user has got created. That is how you actually post it. Okay. There is other ways to do a post where you upload the form data. At this moment, you don't need to worry about that. Form data is required when you are going to use work with front end. And here we are trying to work at the back end, and we are going to provide the data to the front end by creating the API. The guys who are at the front end will know how to manage the APIs that you are going to give. So if you just give them the API like this is the entire document. You give it to them, the fast API document, they'll be able to manage it from there. So you don't need to worry about how they write their code. Okay, but you need to know how to write the API actually. Okay, now that is all about requests. But you see, I have been talking about JSON module. JSON has two more important things under its sleeve. Okay, first and foremost, object serialization is one thing, and object deserialization is another thing. When you, okay, what is object? So if you have gone through my classes video on Python classes video, you have to, the object is inside the Python interpreter. Okay, it is not outside anywhere. So for an example, if I say post payload.json, this object is inside the Python. So how I say that it is inside the Python? Let me show the type. Okay, so let me, whenever you do a type like this, and if you give this, and you will get a value. So this dict is actually a Python object. Okay, this has no meaning outside the Python interpreter. And if you want to write this dict into a file, into a text file, then you cannot use the object directly. That is why you have to use the JSON module. So in JSON module, if you want to convert the dict type and serialize it, you have to use JSON dumps. JSON.dumps, and if you dump it, you can actually serialize it. So when you serialize a dict, it becomes a string. Okay, and see what happens. If you see the serialized payload, you see there is actually additional double quotes here. This actually makes it a string, and now the this dict actually becomes ready to be written into a file. So here, if you're still not comfortable with working with files, there is a separate video where I have explained about how to work with the files from Python interpreter. Take a look at that. It gives the necessary information required for working with the files from Python interpreter. Take a look at that. I will be tagging that also. Here I am creating a new file. So I am saying serialize JSON video tutorial .text, and I am going to write it to it. So if I click this, the execution completed, and if I come here and if I use exclamation mark ls, you will see that the new file has got created .text. And if I want to see what is there inside that, all I need to do is do a cat, because I am using the Linux, I will be using cat command, and you will see the data has been written. The same data that you saw here, the same data has been written into the file. There is an opposite thing also. Okay, before we go further, in case I make any mistake in giving the payload, so this is something that I missed out to explain. Let us go a step back. In case if I make a mistake in creating this payload, okay, so if I did anything wrong here, if I kept this empty, assume that I kept this empty, okay, that is okay, let us keep this empty, and then I try to send the data, you will see that you will get something like this. It is saying value is not valid email address. So such kind of errors can happen when you are working and you need to properly manage them. Okay, so even this is an error that has been replied by the API. This also we can actually convert it into text and we can send it over the email. So all these things are possible. So once you serialize, once you convert the objects into serialized data and put it in text file, then you can send it anywhere. So that's not the problem. But sending the objects, sending this object is not possible directly. Okay, so we will get into that slowly as we go deeper into Python. Next is we are going to use the load. There is actually an option to load the file, which is actually a JSON file. I already have created the serialized video tutorial.txt, right? So I will go ahead and select that. And if I use json.load, you will see that now the whatever I created there came as Python dictionary. So here I started as dictionary. Here it started as post.payload.json. I serialized it using dumps, and I actually made it into a file, text file using serialized json.dump. Understand that clearly. There is dumps and dump. Dumps is used to create the string. Okay, it will create the string inside this Jupyter notebook. But if you want to create a file, then you need to use dump. Okay, and same way, load will load the file. Load will load the file. But if you want to load the dictionary object, then you have to use loads. So that I have not explained here. You can experiment it. The another way that I have shown here is to actually take the string like this directly and use json.loads. So if you load it like this, then it will create a string. This is what I explained. So if I take this entire value and if I do the type, you will see that it is a dictionary. So this is what I was telling. So there are various ways to play with JSON, dictionary, and all those stuff. So let us go back to our presentation, and we are almost half an hour. And let us go back to our presentation. So we have seen the problem, and you might be wondering, okay, we have to automate, right? How are we going to automate it? Automation actually occurs when you attach whatever you have learned till now by using requests and JSON module, right? You learned about that, but now you bring in for loop and you bring in lists and you attach those links, or you form the links. So there are lots of things that you can do with request module. So automation is possible the moment you can read the data from the internet into Python. So you created objects from the data, from the URL, right? Now you can automate it. I actually want you guys to think that how you can do it. So let me actually go back to the Internet Explorer, that is the browser. And if you see the Fast API link that I've shared, there are various other APIs available here. You can actually try these out, and you can actually think up a way where you can take all these links together, make a list, and then automatically get the data from those links and store it inside an array inside Python. Okay, this is an exercise for you. I am not writing it down. So someone is asking you, assume that someone who doesn't know Python is asking you this, and they're telling this to you like the way I'm telling, that I have 4 links or 5 links, and I want someone to write me a program, Python program, that can go to this link continuously and get the data from these links every 5 minutes. So think how you can do it. Okay, and try to do a pseudocode on that. Now we have started expanding from the simple Python programmers to programmers who can automate real world stuff. Okay, now that we have introduced that, let us go back to the presentation. And in the presentation, so we have seen we have seen how to get the data from the internet, and a little bit of automation ideas I have shared with you. I've explained how request and JSON modules work, and we have also seen the examples. I'm pretty sure we'll be having a lot of questions. Do connect back with me if you have any questions or any suggestions on my content. And if you like my content, do leave a like and also share my content with others. I want most of everyone to learn how the internet works, how the processors, how the Python programming works, how the problems can be solved using Python libraries and various other options. All these things I want to share. So kindly share these playlist or this video with your friends who are looking for some ideas, and do subscribe to my channel. If you click on the bell icon, you can subscribe it, and whenever I upload a video, you'll get this video update immediately. So stay tuned, guys. Next, I will be working on automating MS Excel using OpenPyXL library. So till then, have a great time. See you.